Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And time to do a live. We got to try and do maybe two of these a week. Having a Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero Sugar here. These are actually pretty damn good for zero sugar. So, I hope everyone out there is having something refreshing to drink as well and ready to talk about some gaming stuff. So I had a couple of topics on my mind this week, and then once some more of you jump in, we'll see. Hey, I'm not going to say your real name. I'll just say Lipstick. I'll just say Lipstick. Hey, Lipstick, because I don't know if you want your real name used. So, we have one person in here already. So yeah, I wanted to talk about. We're going to talk about the Intellivision Amico console that has been due to be out. Like it was supposed to be out in 2020, and then it got delayed, and then COVID happened, and of course then massive delays then because of COVID, and now it's delayed some more. It looks like because of supply chain stuff and everything else. So, but we're gonna get into that once we have a few more people here. We'll talk about that because the guy who runs that's putting the console out. I think his name is Tommy Tallarico, I believe is his name. He did something here recently that I think was an indication that they're hurting for cash, but we'll talk about it. So we'll wait to get some more people in here, and I'm doing it earlier because I know some of my followers are over in Europe, and so it's probably already kind of late there already. I probably should have done this even earlier, but we'll see if any of them jump in here. So, I saw that you, Lipstick. I saw that you went to some event. Was it yesterday? I saw you posted a picture. Was that a concert? Because I did not recognize the name. So I'm assuming it was a concert, but it could have been a comedy act. I don't know. So, anyway, so the other thing I want to talk about was we have somebody in our group who has a 3D printer, but he also prints with resin. Hey, Chupa. Okay, it was metal. All right. I had not heard of that band before. So it was a new one on me. So anyway, we got this guy who does these resin minis. This is a giant. This is supposed to be a hill giant. And one of the things I want to talk about was with the 3D printing that's going on, that's kind of taking everything by storm. Generally, they print with, I think it's like a plastic. And these, of course, are resin. And the one problem that I have with the resin, now I got no problem with these at all because he just printed these and brought them to the game for us to use. So from that standpoint, Ethan, thank you very much. But the problem that I have with them is that they're very fragile. If they tip over and there's any like appendages or anything, so like his sword broke off very easily. I've already fixed one. I had to glue one where the hammer, it tipped over. And so you got to make sure you put a good base on them. But if they tip over, whatever the appendages are, they can break off pretty easy. They're pretty brittle. So the detail it's hard to tell because it's unpainted. But I'll put it up here. I don't know if this will show up on camera because of whether or not they autofocus. But he's like screaming. This giant is like screaming. So let's see if I can get a good shot of that. Let's do it this way and see if. But it's kind of hard to see because there's no contrast. But the detail is really good on these, and I don't know. I haven't asked them if they're like easier to is if it's easier to work with resin over the other stuff. So um, if any of you that are watching this on playback as well, um, let me know, in the comments, whether or not you've had good luck with the resin stuff or whatever. It may be something I get into at some point. I may end up getting a 3D printer, maybe, if I don't know where I'll put it, but probably in the garage. But let's see. My daughter has 3D printer she's never used. Um, yeah, you can do minis, Chupa. There's like I'm ass- I'm assuming that um, each one is a file, like that you can get from online, and you just use that file and put it into your machine, and it will print whatever's on the file. Um, so from that standpoint, I think that's pretty user friendly. Now, as far as loading up the media, like whether it's plastic or resin or any of that stuff, that's I've never even dipped my toe into that, so I don't know how that all works, but it would be interesting to get into at some point. So I like, I mean, I go buy my minis, the blister packs, and I'm just fine with that. But I think if I had a 3D printer, I'd be printing them like crazy, because like I would be like, well, you know, while we're watching TV or I'm playing a video game, I could have one printing and have it done by the time I'm finished. You know, yeah, I got a no beer today, and I'm avoiding the sugar too, because got to go to the got to go to the VA tomorrow and get my for my yearly physical. Got to get my do my blood draw, get all my tests done. So um, figure it's supposed to. I got to fast as of like 7 o'clock tonight. I can't eat anything past 7 o'clock. So um, and there won't be any sugar or any of that stuff. So um, but that's one of the that's one of the pitfalls of getting older, is you got to go do that yearly physical, and you want to make sure your numbers are good so the doctor doesn't yell at you and try to put you on more pills and stuff like that. So um, yeah, I don't know how it is. Maybe it's different for even younger folks now. Maybe they got you guys going once a year, but once you get over a certain age, you got to do that every single year. So um, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and everybody else can just watch it on playback. So I want to talk about this Intellivision Amico console. So real quick, for those that don't know what the original Intellivision was, it was one of the very first gaming consoles. You had the Atari 2600, which had come out first, and it was it had a joystick and just one button on the controller, and you could do, there was tons of games for the Atari 2600. And then Intellivision shortly later came out, and it was a little bit more. It's hard to even say that it was better graphically, because they were all like 32-bit you know graphics, but if you could say that one was better than the other, there you go. Hey, what's up, Menor? So he remembers. So B-17 bomber, bombs away. So with that console, you even had what he's talking about there is you had a voice synthesizer that plugged in separately. You had to buy it separately. And certain games, B-17 bomber was one of them, that actually had voices, which, because before the voice synthesizer for Intellivision, they didn't have any voices on any video games. Hadn't been done yet. So, but there was only a few games that you could use for it to have the voices, and they were just little meaty files, is what they were. MIDI files is what the voices were. But nevertheless, it was something new, and it brought a new element to the game. So that was ahead of its time. And Intellivision it even had a game called Utopia, which I've done a video about before, where you each had 2 islands. You and the other player had an island each, and it was very much like Sim City or The Sims or any of those, that were like, um, see you, Minner. Um, so you you had each had your own island, and you were trying to build, um, for lack of a better term, Sim City. It was called Utopia. I have hair in my mouth. Um, but you had stuff like hospitals, and you had a navy, you had fishing boats, you could build all kinds of different things. And hey, there's a couple more people. John, and I'm just going to say Mobius. So you had these independent islands, and it was like Sim City, but you were competing against one another, and that was on the original Intellivision. And so it was ahead of its time, because then it was when what was it? Sid Meier's Civilization came out later for PC, but Intellivision had the idea way back with Utopia. Well, now they've got this new version of the console that this guy Tommy Tallarico, I hope I'm saying his name right, came up with the idea. It's called Intellivision Amico, and I was one of those that pre-ordered it. There was a window where they said, if you want the original wood grain color, which was the same as the original Intellivision, if you want the matching one, it's going to be called the Founders Edition or something like that. And you had to put $100 down as a deposit. So I did that. And that window closed they sold out of those like that. And, but luckily I got one of them. And then, of course, all the problems started with COVID and the supply chain, and it's just been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, which understandable. We know all that stuff's happening. We get it. However, a couple days ago, they had an event. It might have been over the weekend, where they produced 8 boxed games for the Amico. The console is not even out. There isn't even a release date now. They keep saying, well, we don't have a release date, but they produced these 8 boxes of the physical games for the Amico, which isn't even out yet. And one of the things in there was like each box has what are these NFTs? It has a non-fungible token or whatever. Basically, like, it's not cryptocurrency, but it's the newfangled thing called NFTs. And each one of them has an NFT in it or something like that. And there's 8 different ones. And so people, like, they had this event and people were just buying all 8 of them, like all the 8 different games, and posting pictures of it and everything else. To me, that seems like they're hurting for cash to finish the project, which is way overdue, and they have a lot of our money that pre-order money. So it's a little worrisome. In addition to that, here's the other thing that pisses me off about it. If I were in that guy's shoes, if I was in Tommy Tallarico's shoes, and I knew I was going to do this event to push these physical games with the NFTs, whatever it is, and I'm going to do this, you better believe, by God, before I even announce that it's a thing, that's going to happen, I'm going to send out emails to all of my pre-order people and say, listen, here's the deal. Yes, we haven't forgot about you. Your pre-order is still good. We don't have a release date yet, but we're going to have one, etc. So just so you know, we're going to have an event and we're going to be selling some boxes, games, etc. And then give those now. And I would not have taken advantage of what I'm getting ready to say, but for others that might have, he should have said, you guys that pre-ordered and gave us cash, you guys get first crack at these games too. Okay? Because you helped support us to get to the point we're at now. He didn't do that. He didn't do any of that. He didn't notify the pre-order customers that there was going to be this event where they were going to do this thing. He didn't make it so that they got first crack at them. Again, I wouldn't have taken. I'm at this point now where ain't no more of my money is going anywhere until I have stuff in hand. I don't do Kickstarters anymore. I've been burned too many times. But there are other people that would have appreciated that. But I certainly would have appreciated getting the heads up so that I didn't just see it randomly on Twitter that Intellivision Amico, he's selling these games with NFTs and all this other bullshit, and they're having this big event and everything else. The goddamn console's not even out, and no acknowledgement of us pre-order people that gave cash. $100 is $100. You have $100 of mine. Acknowledge that publicly and send us an email and say, hey guys, just so you know, we don't want you to think we forgot about you. You know, none of that was done. To me, that is disrespectful to the people that help support you to the point where you're at now. It would be the same thing as if you had a Kickstarter and all of a sudden you decided to do some event with something else attached to your Kickstarter, and the people that were already your backers, you didn't give them a heads up. You didn't tell them nothing about it. You didn't give them an opportunity to be involved. Nothing. That's the same thing. That's how I feel about it. So, anyway, that was my rant for the day. You guys can Google Intellivision Amico if you want. It gives you the full. I'm still looking forward to getting my console whenever it may be. It looks there's gameplay footage of the prototypes of them playing. It looks great. It's a family-friendly console, meaning there's not going to be any mature titles, any of that stuff. It's just going to be good old-fashioned arcade-type fun. And one of the cool things about it is that the controller is going to be wireless, of course, but the controller is going to store the information on your games. And my understanding is if you go over to somebody's house who also has an Amico, you just take your controller with it, and it has all of your information on the controller and you can just pair up with that person's console, and it has your games, it has your saves, whatever on it, and you just take it with you when you go. Now that's supposed, of course, we haven't seen it, it isn't out, so we don't know, but that's what they're saying. So it's a great sounding concept and everything. But again, I think the way that they're handling the marketing at this point is piss poor. So anyway, that's my rant for today. And this wasn't a rant. This was more of an informational thing and trying to pick people's brains and that type of thing. So that was the only two topics I had for today. Anybody else got anything out there? Yeah, and like you said, John, you only have to get burned once or twice with a Kickstarter campaign. I've done the totals. I'm out about $500 total on all the Kickstarters, and the $100 for the Intellivision. That wasn't a Kickstarter. So about 400 on Kickstarters, and then 100 with the Intellivision deal. So I'm out about $500 for shit that I have not seen, may never see. Who knows? One of them, this one I think will probably come through at some point because the company has a very good track record. Was for the new Dark Tower game. Are you getting a Steam Deck? I haven't decided yet. We'll have to see. If it will allow me to play my Steam library, some of my games on the TV upstairs, like the big screen upstairs, then I'll probably end up getting one. Guess I've been lucky. So 2 for 2. You are very lucky. If you talk to most people have been burned at least once. Cheap, I've been waiting like almost a year for my Twilight 2000 Kickstarter. And that, some of them, of course, are going to be delayed because of the supply chain issues and COVID. There's no doubt about that. So, yes, you will be able to. Okay. Well, HDMI Mini, as far as I know. Okay. So yeah, that might be. I'll wait, like I'm gonna do with everything else nowadays. I'm gonna let it come out, be out for a while, make sure there's no problems before I get one. The one thing I've never dipped my toe into. Oh, we missed one here. any of you old school fellows run the Descent to Avernus adventure? I have not yet. If anybody else has, you feel free to chime in. I have the book, and I actually read a certain amount of that. I can't remember about. It wasn't quite halfway through, but I was reading it. That's the one that's based in the Baldur's Gate um, campaign world, right? Like, well, it's all Forgotten Realms, but the Baldur's Gate um, story arc is involved with that Descent into Avernus adventure, I believe. So anyway, he had missed that one, so I'll make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Okay. Uh, okay, so we're all caught up there. So one of the things I haven't dipped my toe into is the virtual reality VR headset stuff. One reason is I have vertigo, um, pretty bad, and I would hate to spend like $500, $800, whatever, to find out that I can't use the damn thing because it makes me sick. You know, I have it. I have vertigo so bad that like any kind of a spinning thing, like the teacups at Disneyland or anything like that, any of that shit, and I'm gonna be dizzy like instantly and for a while. You know, um, when I went to the doctor, they said I have an inner ear thing that it could be operated on to fix it, but it's considered what do you call it? Optional. It's not like something where you need to have it done. So as far as insurance and all that stuff goes, I go to the VA, so the VA probably wouldn't even do it because it's considered optional. It's not like something you have to do. Um, so anyway, so with the VR thing, that's one reason I never dipped my toe into that. But the Steam Deck, if it's basically, let's see here. Google needs docking station. Well, that's not a problem. Hello, Colin. Um, okay. Well, I'll do some more research on it, especially before it's getting ready to come out. But have any of you uh, dipped your toes into the VR thing? Any of you guys got the VR setups and all that? Because I have a buddy who swears by it. That's like okay. Then I tried my friend's VR setup. It was amazing for about 15 minutes. Skyrim VR is amazing, which I believe it would be. So would Fallout 4 in VR. Then I got very nauseous, like ran to the restroom sick. See, that scares the shit out of me because I don't even know if you have vertigo. I know I've got vertigo. I was on the verge of buying an HTC Vive. Yeah, and that's the other thing is, do you go HTC or do you go Oculus? You know, that's it. I have people that one swears by this, the other one swears by the HTC. You know, and it's like, um, exactly, and that's the same thing. I don't know anybody here. None of my friends locally here have one, as far as I know, because I would love to try one out first to see if it makes me sick. So, um, yeah. See, and I'm a gamer that, like, if I sit down for a gaming session, it could be hours, you know. So I don't know, John. It makes you sick as well. See, so there's my theory right there. Before I dump a bunch of money into anything, I got to make sure that isn't going to be the case because I'll be turning around selling it used and losing money on it, you know. So anyway, so there, yeah, that's it on the Steam Deck. I probably will end up getting one. It is my guess, especially if all you need is a docking station for like the TV upstairs, and then you can play. Now, I'm assuming then I'll have to look at the Steam Deck. I'm assuming the controllers are probably going to be similar to, um, like maybe not like the Nintendo Switch, but something similar to that. I'm guessing. I, Colin, I have a pair of those damn Nvidia 3D glasses somewhere. And when I say that I have boxes of old tech stuff, I have boxes of shit just piled away. Um, I'm talking about stuff like the 3D glasses, the old different types of controllers that you don't see anymore, flight sticks, um, uh, shit, all kinds of stuff. If you remember, there was even and I think it was made by Microsoft right when the Sidewinder um, joystick was a big deal. There was also a companion headset, um, and it had buttons and stuff on it, and it was meant to hook up to your phone line. Went back when we had landlines, and you could use that headset, and it had buttons like for mute and all these different things, and it had a color scheme. And I have one of those damn things. I got all kinds of shit. I mean, and my idea is, of course, we all have these crazy ideas at some point. At one point, it would be awesome if I put myself into a situation where I found, a physical store someplace that was cheap enough to lease, and start like a game store slash museum, for gaming, for tabletop, board games, video games, everything, and then I've got all this shit that I could have on display and display cases and stuff, because it's all stuff that belongs in museums, right? So uh okay. One thing that makes me high on the Steam Deck is that Valve seems to be pro right to repair, meaning that um I'm assuming that that's in contrast to Apple's philosophy, right? Because Apple has no right to repair. Am I right? If that's what you're talking about, because that's one of the reasons I don't use any Apple shit. I've always been a PC person. Um, well, not just correct, not just Apple, but I think aren't they one of like the biggest hardcore no right to repair type of a deal, if I'm not mistaken. Um, you should check out RMC channel if you're not already aware of him. Oh wow, they released a how to open it video before even releasing the thing itself. See, you're educating me here. I did not know that. That I have a lot of respect for them for doing that. That is fantastic. Yeah, I'll go back and I'll um, see if I can find that channel you're talking about, Colin. Um, but yeah, these are all ideas that go through an old vintage gamer's head. I got all this shit, and I've got I've got probably, conservatively speaking, I'm gonna say I've got at least 8 old PCs, starting with like I might have an old 486 in my storage. But I know I've got like a Pentium 1, etc., etc., etc. And every one of those, died at some point, whether it was motherboard or whatever. And my idea is, to kind of Frankenstein and make some, because there are games like on floppies and old floppy disks and CDs and stuff like that that you can't even run on newer rigs. The newer rigs, because of the operating system or whatever, you need something older with an older operating system. And I have my Windows 3.1 disks, so I can always put that on one of those old dinosaurs if I, Frankenstein it, and then have a rig just for playing old vintage games. So there's all these different ideas that go through the old vintage gamer's head. So you can run a I'm guessing VM is a virtual machine. I'm gonna assume that's what that is, and run it. Yeah, it's like an emulator basically. Yeah. Um, exactly. So that was my point, was some games rely on the CPU being slow. Exactly. There was a game, I want to say it was Pool of Radiance. It was one of those, I think, that I had tried to play on a newer rig, and like you said, it was the clock speed was too fast to play the game. In other words, uh, no matter how much you tried to slow it down in the settings and everything, you couldn't read the text on the screen, which you needed to be able to read, and there was stuff you had to click on, and it would go right through that because it was too fast. So yeah, so real old school hardware can be very good. That's my whole point. Yep, that's my point exactly. So, you know, these are all things that go through the old vintage guy's head here. Um, but I also have heard that some of that old vintage stuff, especially if it's working, is worth money now, like on eBay and stuff like that. Back in the day when we had old Apple II, I didn't have one, but my best friend at the time, he had an Apple IIe that we played the original um uh what was it? Castle Wolfenstein um on the monochrome monitor and all that stuff. My understanding, if he still had that rig, that old Apple IIe, and it worked, it'd be worth a ton of money, is my understanding. So yeah, Chupa, I have most of the old gold box games. I have most of them. I don't think I have all of them. I did lose some stuff in a couple of moves, stuff that just didn't make it or whatever, and I unfortunately, yeah, I lost some of my stuff, but I have most of them. Most of them I have on Commodore 64 and or PC. I have a couple that are duplicates because I had it on Commodore and then I ended up buying it for PC. You have neurological condition, so you don't react to well to a variety of things. Understandable. Um, yeah, always move to a bigger place. Well, that's the idea is that if we end up we have an opportunity to build a place up in Wyoming, and it would have a full basement, and that basement would probably be like the size of this basement. I don't want to say it'd be twice this size, but it'd be pretty close. Um, that's the next that would be the next logical thing, because I'm out of space here. So yeah, it's crazy to think that I have so much shit that I need a bigger house. It's crazy. Um, and my wife's not as bad as me, but she has her whole office is all Wizard of Oz stuff. I mean, you name it, she has. If it's Wizard of Oz, she owns it. So between the two of us, yeah, we don't have any more goddamn room. So um, let's see. Did I miss anything here? I don't know if we got any of our European people. I probably needed to start this even earlier because they're 7 hours ahead of me, and I think I started this at like 4:30 or something like that. So yeah, I probably need to do this um, like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. Yeah, Lindis. Yes, I have thought about that many times. Um, so what is educate me on what is CET? Central European. I'm guessing that's Central European time, which would be like London. Um, I'm thinking that's yeah. So I got it right. I did say Central European time, so I got that right. But that's not London. That's where's that? Where's that at? Okay, 1 hour behind. Okay. All right. So Central European. I wonder if that's what I was on when I was in Germany. Because I was in Germany for 3 years in the 80s. I'm wondering if we were on Central European time because I think we were 1 hour off different. Um, so, oh, so Colin, you're from Scotland. Okay. Okay. Germany is C. So that was what I was on. Okay. Got it. Well, yeah, I wish I had well, if I didn't have my doctor's appointment tomorrow and I had a Scottish ale, that would be awesome. I could toast in with a Scottish ale, but I don't have one, and they're hard to get here too. So Colin, do you know if there's decent Scottish ales that we can get here? Do you know whether there is or not? Yeah, the whole of Europe is 1 hour ahead of UK. Okay, so like Paris, all that stuff. Okay. Okay, so the British Isles are always 1 hour off. Got it. Okay. And no on the Scottish ales, I'm guessing, unfortunately. Damn it. Well, but it is part of the plan that the best beer in Scotland is imported. Is it English ale? Is it Irish ale? Is it uh, American? German? I'm sure I've tried a couple Scottish beers at some point. I just don't remember them. But there is the plan is at some point, the wife and I, when she finally retires, we're going to be doing a massive European trip, meaning that when we go, we're buying open-ended tickets, meaning there's not going to be a return flight on the itinerary. It's just going to be one way, and then when we're done with Europe, then we come home. We don't want to have some arbitrary date that says, okay, we've only got 2 weeks to see all of Europe and then try and rush around to see all these different things. Nope, we're not doing it that way. We're gonna go and we're gonna explore the fuck out of everything that we want to see in Europe. And when we're done, then we're gonna come home. And we will have a family member, house sit the whole time and take care of the house so we don't have to worry about the house. And we'll just be gone. Yeah, we'll do all that. We'll have to get the visas. We'll have to do all that. But we figure if we're doing it, we're only going to do it once. We're only gonna cross the pond. I hate flying. Um, so we're gonna go one time, nonstop from here in Salt Lake. They have a nonstop that goes to Paris, and we'll fly nonstop to Paris. We'll rent a car, and then we're going to just start seeing Europe. I've driven over a large part of Europe when I was there in the Army, so I'm pretty familiar with, at least back then. Um, I know all the Europe, at least unless they've changed quite a few of them, the European road signs. We had to take a test for our German driver's license that had like 120 different European road signs, the universal road signs. Um, so I think we'll just rent a car and go. So the last time you had a beer was a Stella. Okay. Yep. So that's exactly right. So I believe with the channel, um, we would just turn in the rental car and then get on the channel, the train for the channel, go over there and then get another rental when we got over there. That's the way we would do it. Yeah. Plus we do have a niece um, that's in York, England. She lives in York, so she would probably meet us there. So McEwen's export. Okay, I've had McEwen's, so I can say that I've had a Scottish beer. Okay. Um, let's see here. My good friend is from Redwood, California. He loves coming to Scotland. He's going to crash with me for a couple months. So yeah, I'm assuming you guys are pretty familiar with having us Yanks come over there, and want to have you guys show us around and everything, because it's much handier if you know somebody there, as will be the case with our niece. I actually have some friends that are still in Germany too, so I could, you know, we could meet up with them to go out and do a couple things or whatever. And so we do have at least a couple of contacts, one in Germany, well, more than one, a couple in Germany, but one in one in England. So may have another friend and his wife I think are thinking of moving to Spain. And if they move to Spain, then we'll have friends in Spain as well. If aliens landed in the UK, it would take them years to realize they were not part of the USA. Are you saying that the UK has become Americanized? Is that what you're saying? Have you ever visited the old castles that must be over there? I assume there's a lot of old castles across the Atlantic. So when I was in Germany, the city that I was in, we had a castle, and so I explored that one for sure. Um, and but that was the only one, um, because as a moron, as a young basically still a kid in the Army, um, I didn't think to do that kind of shit. It wasn't in my brain at the time to explore all that kind of stuff. Um, my dad came over at one point when I was in Germany, and we drove through like Switzerland and Austria and all these different things. And I kind of let him dictate where he wanted to go. And we went to like Bastogne, Belgium, and went to the Battle of the Bulge. They have a huge museum there for the Battle of the Bulge from World War II, and he wanted to see that. And we went down to Munich, and we ended up going to Dachau. There's of course a museum there at that the concentration camp from World War II. We went and saw that. Um, we drove through the Alps. We did it, but it was kind of I didn't have a lot of leave time, so we was kind of like move, shoot, communicate. So yeah, I wish that we would have stopped and like looked at castles and that kind of stuff. But when you're young and stupid, you don't do that kind of stuff. How is retirement treating you, you lucky dog? It's fantastic. I love retirement. People always say, I must have had people when I was saying I was going to retire at the job I was at. I must have had, if I had one person say it, must have had 100 people say it. Well, what are you going to do? And my answer was always, the question you should be asking yourself is, what am I not going to do? I am not going to have to worry about stressing out about this stupid job anymore. I am not going to smell like pool chemicals. I'm not going to have chemical burns. I'm not going to have, all the things that go along with having that job. I'm not going to have those anymore. I'm going to do whatever I want, when I want, how I want. So to answer your question, it's fantastic. Yeah, I'm surprised at the number of people that that said to me they wouldn't know what to do if they retired. Like they wouldn't know what to do with their time if they retired. And my answer to them was, you need more hobbies. You need more interest. If work is your life, and and hey, if that's your thing, and you truly love what you do, that's fine. But if you complain about work, and then you say on the same in one breath, and then say, well, if I retired, I wouldn't know what to do, then you need more interest. That's the way I look at it. We've already done a little bit of traveling. We went to a concert. I've been doing my YouTube thing. The gaming is having a blast with gaming. Well, I agree with you, Lindis. But like I was saying, a lot of the people here, for whatever reason, they didn't act like they had any hobbies. It seemed like, now, of course, I never had kids. They all have kids or grandkids or whatever, and it seems like that and their job is their whole lives. And maybe that's the case when you do have kids and or grandkids. That becomes your life. But having not done that, I can't speak on it. But instead, I play video games and Dungeons and Dragons. And, we like to travel, we like to cook, that kind of stuff. So, what are we at here? We're almost at 45 minutes. So I guess we'll stop it at 45 minutes. Because the wife is off today and I got to go do family time with the wife. And let's see, we covered quite a bit. For those of you that joined late, we talked about minis. This is a resin mini that someone made for the group. He made a bunch of these, and this one I was talking about that the sword had broke off because these are very brittle, the resin. And I was just asking if anybody else had that same experience, if they 3D print any of that stuff. So that's for the people that joined late. So my kids are grown. They come back, play a few times a year. Oh, well, that's good. If you want to see a full-size ship from the 1600s, now I don't know if the one in San Diego, California is from the 1600s, but there's one there that's pretty damn old. Then stop by the Vasa Museum when you come to Europe. Well, I plan to see a whole bunch of stuff, and like I said, we're not going to be in a rush, so we're gonna do it right. So, all right, guys. Well, we're coming up 45 minutes. If anybody has any last minute questions or anything else, otherwise, I'm gonna say sayonara, and we'll. I collect minis, love them, but don't have any resin. My local store just closed, so now I'm stressing on where to grow my collection. I'm surprised that your store. Well, the stores are closing because of a couple things: Amazon and staffing issues. I think. Um, oh yeah, Scotland's on the list. Absolutely, all the British Isles, all of it. Yeah. I'm gonna go watch a hockey game now. Oh, enjoy the hockey game. Um, you like retro shooters? I do. If you're talking about stuff like Quake and Doom and all that kind of stuff, yeah, absolutely. I have. By the way, if you guys don't follow me on social media or Steam, you can. Greyhawk 4x4. If you Google my handle, Greyhawk 4x4, all my social stuff comes out: Instagram, uh, uh, TikTok, uh, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, it's on there. And then Steam handle is Greyhawk 4x4 also. So you guys can see all my whole game library. I'm assuming it should all be public, and I'm a curator on there too. So I do reviews as a curator on there too. So have you played Blade of Agony? I have never heard of Blade of Agony, let alone played it. And I thought that I had heard of all of them. I mean, I'm talking like, do you remember Strife? There was a game called Strife. There was Hexen. There was. Did you try the updated Diablo 2? Not yet. I haven't yet convinced myself to give Blizzard some more of my money. I have a friend who has, and she seems to be enjoying it. Matter of fact, she was on here earlier. I don't know if she's still here or not, but if she is, she could chime in here. But I don't know if she's. Let's see here. Oh, okay, so Blade of Agony or whatever it was called. Let's see here. Yeah, Blade of Agony is an unofficial Wolfenstein 3D sequel. No shit. See, because there was Sword of Destiny. So let's go down the rabbit hole there. You had Sword of Destiny was an add-on, wasn't that was DLC for Wolfenstein 3D. And I have Sword of Destiny, but I never heard of Blade of Agony. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Because Wolfenstein 3D was like, that's the one that got everybody friggin' hooked. That was before Doom, before Quake, any of it. So, all right, I got to run, guys. So, I don't want the wife to get too pissed at me. So, have a good night, guys. And we will catch you on the flip side.